This graphic is fucking crazy.
I know, right? You're staring at yourself.
I feel like I'm coming down on acid right now.
With a beard?
No, that's a little patchy. Whatever. Let me take this down. I can't look at my head. That's better. Hey!
So we saw a couple of flashbacks in that series. You have a baby face. You got started really young with this industry, didn't you?
I did. It was weird. I moved to New York to go to film school when I was 17. And then I failed out of film school. just really hard to do. And then I was working for a nightlife photographer for a while, and that meant that I could start work at like 11 and get done at 4 a.m., which was good for my drinking schedule. And then, no, don't do that. I turned into an alcoholic. And then I got a Dr. Pepper commercial when I was like 20 years old or something. And I didn't even have any lines in it. It became residuals, so I was like, this is awesome.
Still making money off of Dr. Pepper?
No, I have not seen the check for that.
Do you
I
know
wish.
another famous Dr. Pepper person? David
There's like a lot of them, right?
Yeah, Dr. Pepper launches a lot of careers.
Who else? Who am I in bed with on the Dr. Pepper train?
David Naughton was discovered in a Dr. Pepper commercial
Who's
from
that?
American Railroad Line.
Oh,
Yeah, he's joined us this week.
he's killing it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
So if you want to become famous, go to a Dr. Pepper audition.
They're the secret Illuminati in the Hollywood. What is it? Prunes, raisins, vanilla?
The diet is really good, I'm just saying.
I know.
So you filled out of film school, and then you got the Dr. Pepper commercial.
Yeah, and then I did this movie called The American Astronaut, and then the first big thing I did where I was like, oh, I think this is my job, was The Wire. And so I was 22 or 23 when I did that, and I'm 40 now, so.
So a little bit of the time has lapsed since then.
I've just been waiting.
Just waiting out, yeah. So you made your rounds in the independent circle.
Yeah. You mean called I have to have a job circle?
Yeah, just take a script as it comes, right? But you've done some pretty cool stuff. You got to travel.
Yeah, I traveled. I mean, I was
Generation Kill, you did.
Generation Kill, I lived in Africa for almost 8 or 9 months, which was really awesome for a lot of reasons. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that was really cool. Like, my dad was a Vietnam vet, so I got to spend all these times around vets that were around his age when he would have gotten out of Vietnam, so that gave me kind of like a good insight on like a lot of stuff that I didn't get to think about. Then I lived in Africa, and that was awesome. I did like a bunch of road trips by myself across Africa. Yeah, it was cool. Very adventurous time in my life.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The wrestling next door.
That's cool. Dude, there was like some dudes in the hallway that looked like they were doing these weird like karate moves on each other.
Yeah, that's spooky. You've been out and about a little bit. You were roaming around, kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
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 Seen a little bit of Tampa.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I like to walk around whatever city I'm in. Like, I'm just kind of checking it out. It's cool.
Yep, got it to eat.
No, I eat pizza. I'm a vegetarian, so I eat pizza up the street. Sorry,
okay, so you shot in Africa, and then you came back and did some things that got awards and some recognition that, like Tangerine.
Tangerine.
So good.
Yeah, so that was a weird one too because my family has this weird, long, tragic history with September 11th. There's something that happened on that day. No,
Oh my God.
no, but like, stop. My mom's birthday is on September 11th. But then my maternal grandmother died on. By the way, I'll get to Tangerine, I promise. Like, I promise. I'll tie this with back here. I'll take us there. It's a little. But anyway, like all these horrible things happened. In 2010, my dog got hit by a car. And like almost killed, like clipped by a cube truck. And he was with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. But it was like almost like ripped it in half, and we she like took him to the emergency room, and they like basically like held us at gunpoint. They were like, "Hey, your dog's gonna die if you don't give us all this money." So, you know. And Sean Baker, the guy that directed Starlet, was like in Booney, the dog who's in Starlet, was there with like an eye infection, and he was like, "Hey man, I was like, really liked you in The Wire," and I was like, "Thanks." Like, the dog's gonna die, I think. And then we just became friends, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make this movie about these, like, kind of like this octogenarian woman and this girl in porn in the valley." No, that was Starlet, yeah. And then I was like, cool, and that did really well, and people really liked it. And then no, it's Starlet. It's weird, and Sean, yeah, it was a roommate, but Sean has me play like all these characters that are like kind of pimpish, but then he always has me meet the guys that I'm playing, but then they don't know that I'm playing them. So it's really like, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then it was really strange. That happened in Starlet and in Tangerine. But then Tangerine I wasn't supposed to be in. He called me and he was like, "Can you give me your friend's number?" Leo Fitzpatrick, who was in Kids. He's like, "Can you give me Leo Fitzpatrick's number? I want him to do this movie." And I was like, "Alright." And I gave it to him. He was like, "Leo won't call me back to do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Thanks." And I was like, "What are we doing?" He's like, "We're gonna make a movie about these transsexual prostitutes that hang out for all the donut time on iPhones." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, and I was like, "Alright, this is a terrible idea. Like, I guess let's." And he was like, "I only need you for a couple of days." So that was how I did it.
But
Yeah.
through him, we've gotten a lot of recognition with the Independent Spirit Award, correct? Or Starlet?
Yeah, they really like Sean. They really like Sean. They don't really care about me. I'm just like, they're like, "You're Sean's really alright. Tables are limited." Yeah.
We're going to open for some questions in just a minute. If you guys want to line up, feel free to get ready to do that. And then
So where are we going?
working between the independent movies, the big movies that
Wait,
you've
hold on.
done.
How old are those children?
Which
How many
ones?
bad words have you heard?
Oh,
Alright, I got it. Hold on a second. We're talking about these two. How old are you?
those are my kids, they're fine.
Horrible.
No, that's not
She said, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
Okay.
It's parenting.
8 and how old? Okay. 8, 7, 11. Alright. I'll temper my responses accordingly.
No, it's fine. Don't censor yourself. Like I said, they're spooky kids. They're used to it. I was going to say, between the movies that you've done, the independent films that you've done, and then the television work that you've done, what's your favorite to do, and what do you find is more towards your liking? People are being killed this
Dude, how about this though? Like, I'm at work right now. And I'd be like, "What's happening next door?" People killing each other. So funny.
Cosplay wrestling.
I don't know. I don't really think about it like that. I kind of think in like, I don't know. I was like backstage with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi today, and like they're awesome. And I did a burn notice years ago with Bruce Campbell, and like we met each other in passing, and I know how those things work. Where I was like going on an episode, I'm like, "Hey dude, like what's going on?" You know what I mean? Like, but then it's like talking about Sam Raimi, and then it's just like being in the circus. It's so weird. It's such a weird job because it's feast or famine, and the truth is that like I don't have anything lined up. Like I have no idea what I'm doing next. I was a kid, so I'm like really happy to have the time off, but it's just such a weird thing. Like it's the biggest movie I've ever done. I'm like, what am I doing? And then I called my man. I'm like, "Did anyone call?" He's like, "No, not really." And I'm like, "Okay."
So you got a convention?
Yeah, I started doing these because they're cool, and it's like I have a lot of downtime right now, and I still like to travel a lot. Yeah.
This is his first convention, guys.
This is my first convention. Thank you.
I'm really happy to have you here.
Yeah, so thanks guys.
All right, so you step up, say your name, and then let me hear your question nice and clear.
Wait, you didn't get a microphone. Okay.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, please don't yell. Very tired.
He's been at his table all day, guys.
No, it's not that. It's like my first time. I don't know.
We're gonna break it. Ready?
show you going either. So,
That's okay, I can do it.
it's super rude. It's weird. Hold on.
I'm gonna spit it out on my tablet.
Like your waitress, like, what do you want, hon?
I'm gonna auction myself later, okay? There we go.
You want the soup or the salad?
Soup.
No.
So I'm Otto. I just wanted to say that today's my birthday. This is like the
Oh, happy birthday.
gift, getting to meet you and getting to be here. And my question is, PJ or James? Like, what do you?
Well, my name is James Finley Ranson III.
That's a romance novel.
Kind of like a jerk banker's name.
And a cow.
I'm like, that guy totally ripped me off my mortgage. But then my nickname is PJ, and the J does stand for James. So when I'm like, when I meet people in person, I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I'm PJ, but my real name is James. Like it's on
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So does your mom call you James when you're in trouble?
No.
All three names?
No. No. She just. No, my mom would just like guilt me. That's how you're gonna. Like, it's really rude. No, it's super manipulative.
Moms know how to do that really well.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thanks. Happy birthday.
Hey there.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
Hi.
I have to ask, what was the thought process behind the angel boarding scene in it? Like,
Oh.
why was that song picked?
I would love to. So, it's weird. You don't realize that sometimes, unless people point it out to you, you don't know that sometimes like you rip things off because you saw them and then they're like part of your DNA. And then if you have the awareness to be like, oh, totally, like I did rip that off. Andy, I think you, in the original cut, I think it was, what is going on in the story? It's like a totally different thing.
I'm gonna sing to you, I swear. Go ahead.
That's just so funny. It's so funny because I know what's going on because I saw the rehearsal of it before. I'm trying to think. He had the original cut. He had Pour Some Sugar on Me playing. But I bet you that was way too expensive for the studio. That's usually what happens. Who knows what happens? But I bet they didn't get the rights. So then, I think that Angel in the Morning's in Deadpool, right? I didn't see Deadpool. I'm not like a big movie person. I work in a sausage factory, therefore vegetarian. And then Andy was like real bummed at some point. He's like, do you think people? I was like, I don't think people know. Because he was like, oh, I wonder if I stole that. You know? Because I think you think that. Yeah.
Originally, pour some sugar on me.
Yeah, it was originally Def Leppard.
I mean, I take that.
That was, yeah. Here's what's weird. A lot of the stuff that you guys love in movies you see are happy, stupid, blind, dumb luck accidents. Yeah. Alice Cooper told me he auditioned to be the original Pennywise for the miniseries, but couldn't do it because he was on tour. Yeah, that's crazy. And he would have been a great Pennywise. Yeah, like a really nice Pennywise. Let me tell you a little bit about history, Jordy. Yeah, he's golfing.
Golfing Pennywise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice. Look at this costume.
Yeah, you guys all look great. You guys put so
Nice.
much effort into this stuff. It's awesome.
Spotted that from a mile away.
I'm Ruthie. My question is, you've done several horror films now. Like the first one I saw was Sinister, and then Sinister 2, and now It Chapter 2. How do you feel about the horror genre? How do you feel about horror films? And would you like to make more?
I was thinking about this today. How I feel about the horror genre is it's interesting to me because I feel like it's kind of the last place for me that feels politicized. I also like the fact that it's the last genre that wrestles with metaphysical things, myth, that have to do with like life after death. And these are big questions, and so people they think about that all the time. You know, like what happens to me when I die? And horror wrestles in that. I also like the fact that, like I was watching Sam Raimi here before you came, before I know there were way more people who didn't see Sam Raimi, but he was like, he's one of my favorite directors because him and his brother, Bruce Campbell, they were kids. when they made it. They were like 19. They went around like asking people for money from around the town. And they did such cool, inventive stuff. And somebody went, hey, we can profit off this like a little bit. So I like the fact that if you're creative and interesting, you can make the money people happy, but then you still get to do what you want. And I know this is gonna sound so crazy. All the stuff today, right? The stuff that I look at, it's like awardsy. I don't want to do any of that. It looks so dumb and bad to me. Like I kind of only want to do horror. No joke. I swear, yeah. Because I feel like you get a young person who has something interesting to say, they'll get the chance of doing it because their movie will be profitable because it's in the horror genre. And I'm like, oh, let's get like a young kid. Like, how many Sam Raimis are out there right now? They're like 19 with good ideas, like, you know. So that's why as a 40-year-old, I was like looking at Bruce Campbell and being like, man, that's sick that you have Ash for like that long and that's something you guys like made when you were kids. Like just watching that, it was cool. It was really cool for me. Yeah. A long answer.
Yeah, horror personally for me is like a really important genre. I loved what you had to say about it, and I would love to see more horror films.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, there's also a lot of bad horror.
Even the bad horror is kind of funny.
No, you're wrong. As someone who's who's seen and also been in a lot of shitty movies, I can tell you, like, I don't want to watch this. Yeah.
All right, I'll stay corrected.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
My question was that, like, is there any particular horror movie that you like that